Good morning, fourth grade. Today we're going to do our read aloud again, and this time we're going to start with chapter 8. When we last left off in chapter 7, we found that Davis woke Charlie up in the middle of the night and wants him to sneak out with the rest of the family, and Jonathan, Davis's boyfriend, to sneak off to Virginia to go find their dad. So Ludmilla's fast asleep, and Charlie's packing his things, or has packed them, and they are headed on their way to Virginia. So here we go. Chapter 8 starts with a quote from Tiberius Shaw, PhD. "No one knows for sure why birds fall silent when their cages are covered. All we know is that they do. When I ride for a long time in a plane or a car, I conk out. Dad and Graham used to think I was actually fainting dead away, but I wasn't. I just shut down my systems to avoid sensory overload and barfing. I'm out for hours in the back seat of Jonathan Dylan Daniels' grubby old Honda CRV surfer car. It smells crabby, like low tide, and there's sand in the cracks of the upholstery that sticks to the back of my thighs. My neck has that tired ache, and I can vaguely sense that I'm drooling now and then. But gradually, after eons, heat starts seeping into my brain. It starts to coat my skin and glaze my glued shut eyes. The light's different now. Under my eyelids, it's not black anymore, but bright red and pulsing. Too bright to sleep. Too bright to pretend to sleep. Too hot. I open my eyes to a glaring beige world. Sand stretches away, flat as a pancake on both sides. San Diego's palms and flowery plants are history. The world is now a parched, pulsing desert. Where are we? Davis stretches and yawns and then rests her hand on the back of Jonathan Dylan Daniels' head and strokes his hair with her fingers. Ick. Almost to Vegas, babe. Give me your card. We gotta get gas. He jerks the wheel and we jolt onto crunchy gravel toward the big red ball sign of a 76 gas station. Heat waves ripple off the top of bright orange pumps. Jonathan Dylan Daniels hops out and holds out his hand for Davis's card, then slides it through the pump slot. The twins are starting to rouse in the back. He raps on their window. Yo, little buds, you gotta pee? Do it now. Joel raps back. Hey, I can pump the gas, John, he says. Want me to? I know, my dad taught me. The twins think Jonathan Dylan Daniels is so cool. Once he brought over a whole stack of M-rated games, and they played them for hours while Graham was in the kitchen making cookies. Graham had no idea what was going on. Dad would never have let them play those games. Dad says, once an act of bad violence is stuck in your head, you can't unsee it or ever get it out of there. So you have to be very, very selective about what you decide to allow into your brain. Jonathan Dylan Daniels thinks I'm an old grandmother, a priss. He said exactly that to Davis once. Said, hey, why is your brother such a priss? Priss, old grandmother, kook, droid, Lysol Louie, Charlie, nerd. I go by a lot of names because no one really knows me that well. We're almost to Vegas, says Davis, smearing gunk on her lips from a little pink plastic container. Let's stop off just to drive enough and see it. No reason why we can't enjoy the trip, right? We could pretend it's a family vacation. John and I will be like the parents, and you guys will be like our kids. Even the twins gag and groan. No, really, she smiles, and tiny sparkles in her pink lip gloss glisten. But she has dark, tired skin under her eyes, and so does Jonathan Dylan Daniels, who's actually been the one doing all the driving. Does Graham know? I say. When do we get there? Did you call Graham? Will she have will she have to get an extra hotel room for us or something? Davis looks at me from the visor mirror where she's putting a tiny wand of black stuff on her eyelashes. Mascara. Like from the word mask. Don't worry, Charlie. We've got a ways to go first. I'm going to talk that over with her real soon, she says. Jonathan Dylan Daniels gets back in and chucks a bag of Twizzlers to Joel and Jake. He doesn't give anything to me. We keep driving and driving and driving and driving through the hot beige wasteland, listening to horrible drum-bashing radio music, and then a few billboards start cropping up. A few more. Billboards showing fancy-dressed people laughing around a casino table. Billboards showing magicians and sequin-dressed singers and the American flag. Finally, the city of Las Vegas just kind of rises up out of the sand. 1 minute you're in this big, monotonous desert, nothing but beige. And then, bam, you're on this big, wide, fancy boulevard with all sorts of sights clamoring for your attention. Look, the Eiffel Tower, Davis says. I've always wanted to go to Paris. I'm hungry, says Joel. This is Vegas, not Paris, right? Jake asks, and Joel shoves him. How could it be Paris, you dork? The twins look sweaty. Their eyes are big and round. Something about them seems much younger this morning. Jonathan Dylan Daniels keeps driving. There are these huge fountains, giant walls of water spurting up and down in different rhythms and colors, and plazas and sculptures and huge hotel entrances. All this stuff jumping in front of your eyes. And it's still early in the morning, just past dawn, so there's practically no one out yet. All this. Look at me, look at me. Craziness is competing for the attention of hardly anyone right now. Hey, check it out, Joel shouts. That guy's puking. Sure enough, on the sidewalk up ahead, near a restaurant, a businessman in a rumpled suit is on his hands and knees. Ugh, his tie is hanging in it, Davis says. We're all shouting, ew, when we notice a runner, a lady rounding the corner. She's so busy fiddling with her headphones and trying not to break her stride that she doesn't notice the puking guy. At the last second, she decides to hurtle over his back. She leaps high in the air and lands, stumbling on the other side of him. Everyone thinks this is hilarious, and they're laughing and clapping and looking back down the street. And that's when Jonathan Dylan Daniels doesn't notice something. He doesn't notice that there is a huge black truck fender looming into view in his driver's side window, about to hit us. Chapter 9. So this one says, instead of a quote, this one has a picture and it says, the bar-tailed godwit. The flight of the bar-tailed godwit. Chapter 9. Bam! A jolt. Time stops while the car silently spins. We land backward, halfway up the curb, just past a sushi bar. I peer forward through the cracked windshield and notice we're facing the wrong way down the wide Las Vegas boulevard. I crane my neck sideways. Someone is running toward us. It's the jogger hurdling lady. I don't know how to describe her face. A weird feeling. A sick feeling. A few other cars pull into view in the small area of cracked windshield. Their car doors open. I can't see Davis or Jonathan Dylan Daniels' faces. Just two big white airbags. A car alarm is going off. Maybe it's ours. A strange man is yanking open our doors and yelling, "Don't move! Just answer if you're okay." Davis says yes in a super high, needling kind of voice. The twins are crying, but they manage to say, "Yeah, uh-huh." I say in a hoarse, weird voice that doesn't seem like me, "Yes, I'm okay." Jonathan Dylan Daniels groans. A siren. We are surrounded by EMTs. They yell, "Stay where you are! Don't move!" It's like we're in a police drama, but they just want to examine our medical situation thoroughly before they let us out of the car, which they eventually do. Davis's face floats next to me, so white, except for a big purple mark on the side of her forehead. I am angry at her. So angry, I don't know what to do with what I'm feeling. The twins come and stand next to us. They are shaky and pale, but okay, just very silent. Joel suddenly turns and throws up all the Twizzlers he'd eaten at the gas station right there onto the sidewalk. That's the second puking I've witnessed this morning. EMTs take Jonathan Dylan Daniels out of the car and help him get on a stretcher. He is complaining. "I'm fine, really, man. This is," he starts to say, but his voice sounds half swallowed. Then he stops protesting when he sees his arm. We all stop when we see his arm. His left hand is bent from his wrist at a weird angle, and there is a really strange-looking boned lump under the skin. Also, the left side of his face is starting to swell up. "Whoa, dude," says Jake. The trucker who hit us comes over. He is the biggest person I have ever seen. He seems completely fine, not a scratch. "Thank God you stopped in time," an EMT says to him. More paramedics and firefighters appear out of nowhere. They look us all over, tell us how lucky we are, a glancing blow, how good that we were all buckled in. No one is seriously hurt except Jonathan Dylan Daniels, who's being loaded into a small ambulance. An EMT guide is helping Joel wipe Twizzler puke off his face, giving him water. A policeman is talking to Davis, who is by the curb now, her arms crossed over her chest, shivering, even though it is a really hot morning. It looks like the policeman is asking her questions, but she's not answering. "Where are your parents?" That is what the one policeman is asking, but Davis only scrunches up her face, funny. "I need to call somebody to tell them what happened to you. If you don't give me a number, I'm calling social services to come get you. So, can you talk to me, please, miss? Who should I call?" Davis is a whimper crying and staring at Jonathan Dylan Daniels' stretcher, which is disappearing into the ambulance. I walk over to the policeman, calm and quiet, like I am in a movie about myself. I stare into the officer's mirror sunglasses and tell him the only number I know by heart. Graham made me memorize it only a few weeks ago when she found out I didn't know any of my contact information. "Holy moly, Charlie," she said. "What if there's an emergency?" It wasn't hard to memorize. It's no problem to tell him our home phone number. I can see it like it's burned in the air right in front of me. And that's where we end for today. I'll see you tomorrow for chapters 10 and 11. Bye, fourth graders.